Hello, and welcome to this episode of So Here's the Thing with your host, yours truly, Sharon Shea Alexander. I promised you guys real conversation and content about business ownership, community, and personal growth. Well, today we have a special guest in the house. His name is Orlando Espinosa. He is the co-founder of M&A Media. Welcome, Orlando.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, Sharon. I know that we were talking about me elaborating a little bit about the business and so forth. And the one thing that M&A Media does is it designs, develops, and implements outreach programs for
Okay.
government agencies, municipalities, and non-for-profits, because the goal is definitely to educate and empower the small business community.
Awesome, and that's what we're about here. We want to make sure that our guests, whether they are trying to scale their personal lives or their businesses, that they have the information, the education from industry experts like yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you again for saying yes to the invitation. Now, Orlando, your work has impacted thousands of small businesses across Florida and beyond, like it has mine. What first inspired you to dedicate your career to empowering entrepreneurs?
I think that a lot of business owners, they tend to overthink and overcomplicate things. And there were so many people that I was inspired by listening to people in my community where they had an idea, they had something that they wanted to do. And my thought was always, how do I simplify information for these same people to reach their full potential? A lot of business owners have to process things differently. And my thing was always, how can I help these same people that want to create some level of entrepreneurship? And the goal was always me coming in, simplifying it to ensure that they reached a level of success that they wanted, but that they would actually be focused and get information from someone that actually wanted to help them.
Okay, so that was how M&A Media was birthed.
Correct.
Awesome. And I can say this, as a business owner myself, I have overthought a lot, and that's stopped me from actually scaling, growing, or even just moving forward, period. You know, overthinking, because there's that self-saboteur as well that tells you, oh, you can't do this is not for you,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah, well, and I think that that's because we want everything to be perfect.
Yes.
And perfection doesn't exist, because if you look at, at how we're being bombarded when we buy items. If you buy the iPhone, it's not perfect, and you're waiting for that upgrade for them to send you more information, but you're willing to shell out money and buy something like that. And this is one of the things that I always tell people. If you're passionate about what it is that you do, if it's a service, if it's a product, then you know what, put it out there and just let
Right.
people come in and see what you're doing and how good you are.
Right, and I tell people all the time, failure does not mean that you're not winning. It's just teaching you what doesn't work.
100%.
Right? Okay, so you're a 3-time recipient of the U.S. Small Business Administration Small Business Advocate of the Year Award for Florida. Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you.
Thank you.
What does that recognition mean to you? And how has it shaped your mission to serve the business community?
Well, I think that one of the key things is understanding that the reason why I got that award, or I've received it multiple times, has been because of the community, because of the small business community. There's years that I've actually worked with the SBA, running programs for them, that they had the SBA Emerging Leaders Program. And the focus was working with businesses for 7 months to figure out what their growth opportunity was, what it is that they
Okay.
wanted to do. But aside from that, it was also understanding that there's a lot of people out there that they're amazing people. Just because the spotlight was on me when I won those awards doesn't mean that the people that I work with don't deserve the same recognition.
Right.
Listen, I've always said that a good leader's willing to share the spotlight, and excellent leader's willing to give it up, and that's the goal.
I like that.
Yeah, and gems. And
Yes.
keep in mind that a lot of the things that we're different. We think differently as an entrepreneur. People can't do what we do. There's people that have a side hustle and they want to make money on the side, but very few people will do this full time like we're doing it.
Right.
You know what? That it's a mindset that we have. So we are in a league of our own as entrepreneurs, and that's why that award and that recognition means so much, because it's pretty much recognition that I'm getting from the actual people that I've been helping throughout the years.
Correct. And we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Now, you served, like you said, as the SBA Miami Emerging Leaders Instructor for several years and launched alumni meetings that became record-breaking in attendance. What do you think made those gatherings so impactful for small business owners?
Well, and I think the first thing was talking to the business owners and making sure it's not a competition. It's not a competition, it's a collaboration.
Thank you so much. Can we elaborate on that
Yes,
a little bit?
yes, I will. Because the thing is that everybody wants to compete. Everybody wants to be number one. And keep in mind that you need a team to move forward. The moment that you come in and you make an assessment and realize that you can't do everything, I don't want to do everything.
Oh my
I am
goodness.
not going to come in and do
Me
financials
neither.
like you do because I'm like, that's your thing. But I think that once you come in and build a team of experts and everybody taps their talent, because the way that I look at it is, listen, we are all born a star and we have a specific talent, a strength that we bring to the table, but we spend so much time focusing on our weaknesses that our star diminishes. So isn't it easier and better to work with other people that they're a star and you're a star and you all retain that star platform because you are collaborating with other people? And that's why the program was so well in running it, because we wanted everybody to come in and work together where their strengths lie.
Yes.
And I think that too many business owners, they beat themselves down because they don't know QuickBooks or they don't know marketing or they don't know. Listen, the goal is not for you to know everything. The goal is for you to
Absolutely.
understand it and work with other people that know that industry, and you tell them how to actually assist and help you in scaling your business. And that's why I think that collaboration works so well. And that's why we still have to this day a lot of business owners that we worked with back then that we've actually collaborated on other projects that we have, in the works.
I love that. I'm an advocate for networking and collaborating, right? And I do believe in the karma, that principle of karma, that what you sow is what you reap. And so if I collaborate with you and I'm helping you scale, I'm giving you opportunity, it comes back to me.
100%.
We're helping each other eat. Like this, everybody can eat.
Listen, there's plenty of pie for everybody.
There you go.
Listen, the thing is that everybody wants the whole pie. I'm like, I can't eat a whole pie in
Oh,
a
that
sitting.
sounds like it's a stomach ache right
I know,
there.
that's what I'm saying. But if you, to your point, I think that this is where you build relationships. And let me backtrack. It's not relationships. You have to build the right relationships.
Correct.
Because not every relationship, it is beneficial. But if you pay it forward and you help someone else, then life becomes so much easier because you don't have to complicate things.
Can we normalize as a community collaborating over competition? Can we?
I think that it's needed.
So do I. Now, let me mention the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program that I also attended. And while I was there, you were my business advisor. And that also helped us keep a relationship. We talked about relationships just now. Even after the program, after that cohort ended, I still sought your advice. I still talk to you from time to time to get some ideas on how to scale. And through that program, you've worked closely with entrepreneurs to create strategic growth plans, right? What are some of the most common challenges small business owners face when they're trying to scale?
Well, I think that they get in their way. And the reason why they get in their way, because you know what you know, and you are the industry expert. You have the business, you launch the business, you have the business, and you come to programs such as these, not because, you failed, it's because you want to come in and put together, a game plan to continue the success.
Strategize.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, one of the reasons why I'm an entrepreneur is I cannot work for someone else, and that's okay. But I think that that's the key thing. So with a lot of these programs, the goal is that we want to get people to start focusing and start shifting and changing their mindset to understand you just need to put things in place, and maybe it's actually creating a growth plan and looking at that, and putting your thoughts together. And this is where I think programs such as the Goldman Sachs 10K helps business owners. And a lot of businesses that have come through the program, I always say, listen, the goal is for you not to navigate this by yourself, because being an entrepreneur can be a lonely journey, and we cannot feel alone because we are in a league of our own. Not everybody can do what we do.
Right.
That's why the aspect of talking about the collaboration that we discussed earlier, it's vital. So with programs like this, people need someone to guide them and to help them, but they need people that are going to help them and guide them in the right path and the right way.
Correct. Now, growth opportunities. Can you elaborate a little bit? Give some examples of growth opportunities.
Well, I think that a lot of business owners, when they start looking at it, it's like, well, how can I scale my business? I'm at a plateau. Well, maybe the aspect or the opportunity is to acquire another business. Maybe you need to look at another business that may not be as successful as yours, and you can acquire that business. You can grow. You can scale that. Maybe it's offering another service that you actually have been thinking about.
Okay.
What other services can you provide? And it's not about offering a lot of things, because I think that when you go to a restaurant and you look at a menu that's got 15,000 things, it's so confusing that you can't make up your mind what you want to eat. Well, I think that a lot of businesses, they think that if they sell, actually they offer more, they sell more. But if you're good at that one thing that you do, people will come knocking on your door, and you will be able to scale. And that's what it is. It's formulating a game plan
Right.
that makes sense with the way that your brain thinks. That's where I've seen a lot of businesses that through growth opportunities they've been able to implement because it makes sense of their business. You don't want to
Right.
go from selling insurance to now all of a sudden wanting to sell, real estate, because they're two different areas.
Thank you.
It's the evolution of a business, because every business evolves. I say this all the time, that when Samsung started, everybody knows Samsung and the smartphones and everything that they do. But when Samsung started, in Korea in the 1930s, they were a seller of fish, dried vegetables, and noodles.
Really?
So they evolved into smartphones technology,
Okay.
appliances. And I think that every business has an opportunity to evolve. You just need to make sure that that game plan not only works for you, but
Correct.
works with the talents that you have.
I love that. It has to align, right, with your journey. Now, I'll say this. You mentioned it a little while ago. As an accountant, I offer various types of financial services. You see what I'm saying?
100%.
I know some business owners, they are all over the place. You don't even know, like you said, a lot of their services are not even related. And they're just doing any and everything that they think can bring in revenue. At some point, you're going to burn out.
Correct.
You're never
Correct.
going to be able to give the important parts of what you do the best attention, right? So you're, like you said, you're frying chicken, you're selling plates out of your home, and all of a sudden you want to change brakes on cars. Have you ever heard the joke about those body shops that they sell chicken in the back when they're
Yeah.
changing your brakes?
But sometimes that's the best chicken.
I wouldn't eat it, but it's interesting, when I hear stuff like that, and I know some business owners that are doing like 7, 8, 10 different things, and none of them are related.
Yeah, but even to your point, because listen, gas station fried chicken is probably one of the best fried chicken. But
I wouldn't know.
I know, I know. But I think that that's the thing, that it's like whoever is frying that there is doing something different than fixing brakes. To your
Well, that's
point,
true.
but I agree with you 100% with what you're saying. What you don't want to do is that if you don't have that talent, you don't want to come in and try to do everything. But I agree with you 100%. You can't come in and do one thing and then do something else. It's if you need to bring someone else that you want to expand your business and you want your business to branch out like the Samsungs, it's okay. But it has to make sense to your point.
Absolutely.
You have to, because let's say if that gas station had a location and let's say in there if they needed someone else, well, then maybe that was another revenue stream, because then maybe they rented out that space
Could have
for
been.
someone, to come in
Yeah.
and do that specialty, but that's what they stuck to. So it's an evolution, and sometimes that's another growth opportunity. How do you actually come in
Mm-hmm.
and look at the space that you have, and can you rent it out to someone else
There you
in
go.
order for them to use their talent? So yeah, I agree with you 100%.
This is why you're
Yeah.
the business advisor,
Yeah.
not me.
No, but it's all about the things that we've talked about.
Yes.
When you're good at what you do, and I think that that's the key thing. People deviate from a lot of the stuff that they do because they question their talent. You can't question your talent. You have to question your abilities. But your ability to do what you do, you're great at. I'm not an attorney, so I don't give legal advice because I didn't go to school for that. But I've got enough of a brain to ask specific questions that
Yes.
pertain to my business. And I think that that's what I want. The overall goal, I want businesses to be informed and to be educated so that they can ask the right questions for their businesses, so that they can seek the right opportunities for growth.
And I love that. And you said something earlier about leadership. A great leader knows how to delegate,
100%.
right? No leader. Listen, if you're not already a business owner and you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, please know that entrepreneurs get little sleep. There's a big difference with clocking in and clocking out on a job, no matter how strenuous your job is, and becoming a business owner. Because when you clock out, the owner of that company now is trying to make sure that they can make payroll. They're trying to make sure they keep a client. Because if they lose a client, they have to cut back on payroll. That's one of the first areas that they cut back.
Yeah, and
They
I
let
agree.
people go.
I agree. And I think that one of the key things, and I want to talk to the audience, is, you know what? Everybody defines success differently. Success for me was actually realizing that I didn't want to work on Fridays and I didn't want to work on Mondays. And that's where I came in and created a business that would afford me that opportunity to work Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays so that I have time for myself. And I think that that's what it is. Everybody wants to come in and have a business, but they want the shiny car and they want, the nice house. And you
Yeah.
can have all of that, but nobody needs to know. I'm not here to impress anybody.
Correct.
I'm here to impress myself.
Yes.
And I think that that's the key thing, that I wanted to be able to enjoy life and take trips and go on vacation and not have to wait till I was retired,
Right.
to come in and do that. I want to do it while I'm young. I want to do it, while I want to see things and learn. And I think that every business owner is going to define success differently. And guess what? It's okay.
Right.
It's okay because that's why we are different. But the goal is, how do you help people reach that success that they themselves define?
Right. So not just talking about growing and scaling growth opportunity. Let's also talk about exit strategies. Give a little insight to what an exit strategy is and some examples of what that could be.
Well, listen, as I said earlier, you're an expert in your field. So if anybody is coming to buy your business, or you're looking to sell or give it to a family member, you have to be clear of what that exit strategy is going to look like for you and what involvement you're going to have. Because maybe you want your child to take over your business, and maybe that's not what they want. Maybe they want something else, for themselves. So you can't come in and put all of your eggs in one basket. But I've seen businesses where they came in, they raised their business to a level that they said, now I can actually sell the business. I can actually, dedicate my time and maybe stay on, as in a role of consulting and so forth. But keep in mind that the exit strategy for everyone is different.
Correct.
And it's also understanding when. You also have to know when to let go, when to sell, and if selling is an option, because I know people that they are past retirement age and they don't want to let go. And I'm not saying that they have to, because there's some people that love to work. But when it comes to an exit strategy, you have to define how long you're going to actually have that business. But I always tell business owners, when you're trying to build that exit strategy, don't build an exit strategy on debt. Because a lot of people are getting into debt, they're buying more things, and then you don't want to come in and sell your business and then find out that you had so much debt, personal debt, because you compensated and bought things that you really didn't need, or you didn't pay off because you were trying to impress other people. The goal is not about impressing other people. The goal is about impressing yourself and enjoying the simple things in life.
Yes.
And making sound decisions to invest your money.
Yes.
Not spend your money, but invest
Invest.
your money, so that when you do retire, you're comfortable and you don't have to depend on other people to take care of you.
See, now you're speaking my language as a financial literacy expert. That's what I teach. And also, I want to just emphasize work-life balance. It's very important. You can burn out.
Yes.
Your family's missing you, your relationships could suffer. You have to figure out how to balance your work and your life and make it work for you in both areas. You know what I mean?
100%. It has to work for you.
Yes. It might look different for me.
100%.
But guess what? If your family's happy and your partner's happy, your children are happy, what might look different for me, I might think, oh my God, this man, he's working so much, he's always traveling, he's always gone. But guess what? I don't know. Your family travels with you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
100%.
it looks different for
Yeah.
everyone. But it's
Yeah.
very important to have work-life balance.
And as long as you're happy as an entrepreneur, that's all that matters.
Now, how soon do you think a business owner should have an exit strategy?
Well, it all depends.
Okay.
It depends, because I know business owners that they've yet to start, and they're already talking about an exit strategy because they're going to
Okay.
make millions.
Okay.
And they've yet to actually get the company registered on Sunbiz. So I always say, you will know when the time comes to sell, but you need to formulate a game plan.
Right.
Where a lot of businesses fail is that they're not looking at getting themselves ready. When you look at COVID, nobody had an exit strategy because nobody knew what was going on. So everybody's trying to figure this out.
Yes.
Well, what is it that I do? Do I work from home? Do I work online? So one of the things that I always tell business owners is that as you start creating a game plan, document everything. You need to
Yes.
formulate a game plan, because maybe the exit strategy for you is to create a franchise of what it is that you've created. And maybe it's to come in, and now you no longer have to come in and work in the business. You know what? You're working on the business because someone else is selling the franchise for you, and you're just getting paid.
Yes.
So this is where you have to start processing and putting things on paper and documenting, because the one thing that we're not mind readers. So you can't come in and design and create an exit strategy if you're not putting things on paper and you're not actually looking at it to make sure that it does make sense.
Right.
So there's a lot of different ways, but I always tell people that you will know when it's time to move on. It's the same thing with that job. You know when it was time to give in your 2 weeks notice.
Yes.
You know what, to start your business, to start your company. And that's another thing that I will suggest that I want to tap into. There's a lot of people that have that side hustle, and they start making money, and this is when they realize I can make a living off of this thing that I'm doing.
Right.
And that's when you make the decision that it's time to move on and say goodbye to your place of employment, because you can actually, survive. It's the same thing with an exit strategy. You will know when the right time is there.
Okay, I love that. I hope you guys are taking notes. If you're just joining, you're just tuning in, please grab a pen and paper and get some advice from our industry expert here, Mr. Orlando Espinosa of Emaneo Media. I love that name, Emaneo.
You know that the word M&L means, it's a Latin word that means to stand out, to be remarkable, to be conspicuous.
Oh, wow.
And that's the key thing that with a lot of business owners, that's what we're here for.
Right.
My goal ultimately is to leave a legacy
Right.
that other people would want to emulate, because
make your mark.
Listen, when all is said and done, I retain information. It's easy for me to come in and share, and I don't ever want to hoard it because I can't take it with me.
Right.
So I give it freely, and I think that this is where I've seen a lot of businesses succeed, because you're building rapport and relationship with other like-minded people.
Yes, I love that. Now, you've been a longtime lead instructor with the Miami Bayside Foundation Small Business Training Program. Have you seen the needs of small business owners evolve? Has it changed over the last decade?
It has, because if you start looking at technology has changed, and the role that AI is playing,
Oh, my goodness.
where a lot of people are scared of it, but I'm not scared of it. It's just the evolution. I don't ever say that I'm an expert at anything, because I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm an expert at XYZ, but everything evolves continuously. I just
Right.
want to be, at the forefront when it comes to, so when you look at AI and technology, so even with Bayside, Miami Bayside Foundation, is probably the longest, organization that I've worked with since 2012. And we see every time that we put together a program of how business owners come in, and they come into the program itself, I've seen people where they graduate from this program where they actually matured enough to go into the SBA Emerging Leaders Program or the Goldman Sachs program,
Okay.
or Jim Moran and other programs that I'm involved in. But the one thing that I keep letting business owners know is that when you have an organization like Miami Bayside Foundation, that they're a community-based organization, that they focus on not only doing the educational portion, providing technical assistance, they also provide financing. And this is where a lot of businesses need
Yes.
to understand. We need finances to scale and grow, but you need to be well informed of those finances and what's available. And that's why when you have industry experts, that understand that, then you work with them, and you let them guide you, because at the end of the day, we know what we know.
Right. And that is one of the biggest struggles, if not the biggest struggle for an entrepreneur, is capital. How do we have these great ideas, like you said, and we know how we can monetize.
Yes.
We just need the capital. We need some investment, some crowdfunding. There's so many different ways that we can raise capital, maybe personally guaranteeing for your business. If your business is new, doesn't have any credit or credibility, you might want to make sure that your personal credit is good so that you can personally guarantee loans or some sort of finance. If you have any retirement and you've left your job, you may want to take a little bit out of that.
Yep.
And to start your business, investing in yourself.
Yeah, and it's creating a game plan. I think that that's what happens with a lot of people. A lot of business owners, they have these, or entrepreneurs, I should say, they have these great ideas, but they don't formulate a game plan of how are you going to launch it. When you ask them, well, how much money do you need to get your business started? Well, I need $1 million. I need this. No, you don't. You need $138 and register it with Sunbiz, and that's it. You're in business.
I love that.
It's not that complicated. But then you have to formulate a game plan as to what are you going to offer. I realize one of the key things that with a lot of business owners and within programs, like the Miami Bayside Foundation, we help businesses with their elevator speech. Because I think that a lot of people spend too much time rambling, and they don't get to the point and letting people know, well, what is it that you do specifically? Be intentional with your words, because I think we spend too much time selling and not
Trying
enough
to
time
impress.
building. Yes, that's what it
Right.
is, one-up people. But I think that this is where we have to come in and bring it down to the basics, because we all have talent, but we need to figure out what best works for me. So when I network, when I go out there, I teach other business owners, walk in there, talk to people, but be very intentional.
Intentional.
Be intentional. I always want to talk to the person that's actually, helping me. So the person that works registration desk, I want to talk to that person. The second person I want to talk to is the organizer, that person that put the event together. And then the third person I want to talk to is maybe one of the speakers. Why? Because that will help me formulate the game plan of who I've spoken to. And then from there, everybody else is gravy. You talk to everybody else, but I listen more than I actually talk, because I think too many people want to just get in conversation and dialogue and sell to other people. And that's when I stand away, because I don't want to be sold to.
Nobody really wants to be sold to.
Nobody.
If you have a product that's appealing enough and I have an interest, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to say, hey, tell me a little more about this, and how does this benefit me, and how can I, and what does it cost, and yeah.
The one thing, and keep in mind that it's also personality. There's a lot of people out there that have an amazing product and amazing service, and they are the brand, but they're too
Right.
shy to come in. And I always say to business owners, I will give you permission to be shy when it comes to yourself, but not your business. Because if people don't know that
Correct.
your business exists, then how are they going to buy from you?
Absolutely. I love that. Did y'all hear that? I told y'all, take notes. He's dropping gems over here. Okay, now, Mr. Espinosa, you've designed signature programs through M&A Media, like Step Up Your Startup. Step Up Your Startup. I like that. Business Health RX and CEO Minded. Can you explain how these programs help entrepreneurs identify blind spots and strengthen their businesses?
Yeah, with the CEO Minded program, this is something that we've actually created to shift the mindset.
Okay.
As business owners, we think differently. So with CEO Minded, we wanted business owners to come in and think and earn like a CEO. Because you can be a CEO by title, but if it doesn't show up in your bank account, then you need to go back to the drawing board. So what we want people is not to come in and impress other people with their talents, but impress with the money that you're making, because you have a profitable business. So with a CEO Minded, that's what we created within the program. Then with the Step Up Your Startup was, how do you take your business to the next level when you just launch, when you just started? And we go into more of a simplified version of going into the basics of the marketing, of sales, of finance, the legal, your leadership style, because a lot of that is tapped together within the actual program itself. So that's one of the key things that we look at. And then with the Business Health RX, your prescription for growth, we've been working
love
closely. We've been working closely with the city of North Miami Beach. And what we wanted to do was that we wanted business owners to come in and do a health check. We want them to do a health check. They do it on themselves. So why shouldn't they do that on their business? And then once they make that assessment within the health of their business, then we're going to actually give them 10 sessions that they can pick and choose from, depending on what their business actually needs. It's not coming in and having people come to every single solitary workshop, but it's people coming in and saying, listen, I'm good with my finance, or I'm good with my marketing. So I may need help with, let's say, government contracting, or maybe even sales, or maybe even tapping into my own leadership style. So one of the key things that we do with a lot of programs, it's business owners, you know what, and it's designed by business owners teaching other business owners. Because you can do the academia, you can do the traditional, but I am more of the realistic, because as a business owner, I think differently. So when my team, with my business partner, and all the team that we have together, we put this together as business owners for business owners to ensure their success.
Right. And it's a lot less intimidating.
Yes.
It is. I love that. Now, many people may not realize that you were once the national spokesperson for Sally Mae's On the Road, paying for college bus tours. How did that experience shape the way you connect with and educate communities today?
Well, I think the key thing was adaptability. I'm very adaptable. So a conversation that I had with the parents and their kids, you know what, in California may have not been the same conversation that I had in Texas.
Right.
May have not been the same that I do in Chicago or New York. So it was always being adaptable, because every single state or even city had something different that they were actually providing.
Different demographics.
Different resources. I remember in Texas, if I'm not mistaken, they had the Be On Time loan. And if you maintain a 3.0 GPA or higher, that loan that they would give you would become an actual grant in going to college. So
Okay.
I went in and I needed to make sure that I learned as much as I could. And you know that different people, you talk differently because sometimes we speak differently to our own people.
True.
You know what? We come in and we have a different way of talking. And I think that
Right.
it's that adaptability that when you talk to people, my thing is if you want to level the playing field for everybody, give everybody the same information. Adapt the way that you give it, but give everybody the
Correct.
same information
Right.
because we all understand things differently. But it was a great experience, and being able to travel, you know what, just solidified that I can, pretty much adapt myself to speak to any audience on any topic.
I love that. Listen, you are giving so much good information. This is good stuff. We're going to now ask you, Mr. Espinosa, looking at the current administration, just real brief, how would you assess their efforts in supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs, and what's working, and where do you think there's room for improvement?
Well, I think that one of the key things, and it's whichever administration, you need to get rid of the red tape. It doesn't matter if it's state, if it's local or federal. I think that one of the key things that we need to understand is that if we as entrepreneurs are the lifeline of any community, we're creating jobs, we're stimulating the economy. Why do we have to jump through so many hoops? Why do we have to jump through hoops to get a permit?
Right.
You know what? Why do we have to jump through hoops to get an application approved for a loan? Why do we have to come in and wait so much to get a certification to do business with government? And I think that one of the key things that you look at, and looking at this administration, they're focusing more on the American made to help provide funding, to help provide grants. They're looking at building a new workforce. So those are some of the things that I've heard from my colleagues that our friends at the SBA, that they're looking to see how do they saturate the economy here by way of the entrepreneurs, because other people and a lot of government employees can't do what we do.
That is true.
Because we're not getting paid a weekly salary
Right.
or a biweekly. We're doing this because we have sheer determination and passion. So I always tell people, look at the trends, look at what's going on,
Right.
and be at the forefront of that trend, because every administration wants to come in and do something different in order for them to be seen and heard. So the overall goal is, how are these trends going to assist and help you and be at the forefront? And the last thing that I will share is, as business owners, you can't sit down and wait for other people to do for you. You have to do for yourself.
Thank you.
You can't sit there and think that it's someone else's responsibility to hand you something if you're not willing to go get it.
Absolutely. Orlando, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
today. Can you please tell the viewers how they can get in contact with you, whether it's through your socials, emails, or your website, to get some more of this information? Because I'm pretty sure there's somebody out here watching that needs a little more than what you gave us today.
Yeah, so one of the key things that I'm actually working on, so it's Orlando in Miami, and that's my Instagram account. Very simple, Orlando in Miami. And definitely we can, I can share my email and so forth. And it's orlando.espinosa@mnaomedia.com. I will say one thing, that as business owners, I'm always looking at how do I empower. So there's a lot of workshops that I have online. There's a lot of things that I'm doing, teaching, education. I'm putting together a lot of these thoughts together in a book, coming in and simplifying, because I think that people tend to overthink things. And the last thing I will let you know is that I'm working on a podcast. And I've got everything that I'm working on. I've got a name, I've got everything. And I will share it with you because
Please.
So the name that I have for the podcast is Don't Put Me on Speaker.
Oh, that's
Don't put me on speaker. Dialogue and conversations that we need to have that people don't want to have.
wow. Love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Orlando, for coming. Again, thank you for saying yes to the invitation. This has been so good and so insightful. Well, we have come to the end of this episode of So Here's the Thing. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.